Hi, I'm Matt Moran, and last Sunday I had the opportunity to speak to a songwriting group, include some song critique as well as some lessons. And the name of my presentation was Lessons from a DIY Songwriter, a do-it-yourself songwriter. And the person hosting the event actually at one point said, told the people in attendance as the presentation was ending and we'd done some Q&A, they said, just take a look at what Matt's doing. He's what I would consider a 360 songwriter. I never really thought about that, but what she was alluding to was the fact that I play and I sing and I have a band and I'm the band leader and I record myself and I do promotion and give workshops and I guess I do a number of things that maybe other songwriters don't. I don't know, I think it's kind of a necessity at this point. But in any case, I wanted to cover some of the things I had covered with them about songwriting specifically. And I do this with some degree of, humility. I'm not here to tell people the rules that they need to use or how they're going to write a hit or whatever. I'm just offering my insight that I think are important for songwriters to consider and things that work for me. And as we do this, I'm going to give some examples. They're going to be from my songs because, well, it's my channel, my songs. I could use other songs to do an example. We're not going to play through a lot of them, but I'm going to cover small elements of a few key things to consider and think about. So I have a list here of things I want to cover. I'm going to set it down over here so I can refer to it. Grab my pick, because we'll play a little bit. But that's the first thing I want to cover is the fact that there are no rules that I'm applying here. I'm going to cover some things that I believe to be true, that I think should be considered. In all cases, you're going to find somebody else that you like that does something different. That's totally cool. I'm not here to, create some battle or lay some emphatic thing down. I'm just giving you some insight. And so that's the first thing. No rules. I'm not trying to impose some kind of rules. So that's the first idea. But the other thing is, and this is something I give a lot of people who just write lyrics. I really admonish them on this next tip, and that's to learn to play guitar. I know there are lyricists who don't play guitar and have teamed up with songwriters, and it's been hugely successful. But most people that are writing lyrics, even if they team up with another performer, they know something about music. They know something about music structure. They know basic theory. They don't have to know a ton of theory. They might only know theory intrinsically because they've used it, because it was learned because they figured out that certain chords go together. And that's really all they know, and that's fine too. I'm not looking for you to become a complete student of music theory, even though I've done a much deeper dive this year watching Rick Beato's channel. It's amazing. And some others, but it's not the most critical thing. But I'll tell you what, if you learn a few songs and how they're structured on guitar, and I'm using guitar as an instrument, if you already play keys or something else that is a good songwriting instrument, I really view piano, keys, and then guitar as primary instruments for writing music. Once again, not a rule. You're going to point out, somebody's going to say, oh, but what about this? What about this person that writes everything on bass? I don't know, I can't do that, but that's fine. I'm not disputing it. I'm just telling you it will help you a lot if you learn to play an instrument. And the reason I recommend guitar, even if somebody plays keys, is it's so portable. You could take an acoustic guitar, go anywhere, take your 3 chords and write a ton of music, or 4 chords, I guess. Yes, we want the 1, 4, 5. I know 3 chords in the truth, but I say 4 chords, and the truth may be better than 3 chords in the truth, so you can get that minor 6th chord in there, right? That's always nice. And then some others, but once again, so learn to play an instrument because it teaches you the structure of songs musically, and it will really help with your lyric writing so that when you turn something over to a performer, even if they change the music and make a great modification and you're okay with that, that's fine, but I feel it will really help your cadence be a lot stronger. Which brings us to another point. Keep track of your cadence. Another challenge I've seen with people is where they have a first verse and it's structured and sounds a certain way and has a certain kind of tempo, whatever that tempo is, of the words. I'm talking the tempo of the words. And then their second verse suddenly deviates from it dramatically. And they've suddenly stuffed, 12 syllables in a line that had 6 before. And it can be done, but it's challenging. So try and keep track of your cadence. If your cadence followed a certain meter in the first verse, then in the second verse it should follow a similar meter. And that doesn't mean you can't have more syllables. Usually it means you're leading into a line early, which is totally acceptable. But just keep track of the fact that things should flow a certain way from the beginning of the ending of the song. The verses should have a similar meter, right? And so that's something and the best way to do that if you're just writing lyrics is speak them out loud. Can you speak them and can you make them fit into the same, same spoken pattern so that it sounds like they went together, okay? So mind your cadence. Really critical one is don't settle for the easy rhyme. And I've been guilty of this on more than a few occasions. I remember my song Morning Girl. I wrote a song called Morning Girl. I love the song. We'll actually get back to that in one of our songs that we reproduced and put out. Beautiful, kind of ballad, finger-picking style, and I layered some violin over it and some other things. Beautiful song. But there was one lyric when I wrote it that, and I'll explain that more in another video, that was embarrassing. But I'd completed the rest of the song and I didn't want to go back to it. And it was actually when I was doing my first tour, so I recorded it, I completed it, I put it out. And then I never went back to it. And it was 5 years later. I was visiting a friend and we were going out somewhere and I was going to play that song. And they said, I love that song, but it's really got a wrong lyric in it. And that's a hard thing to hear from somebody, but I knew exactly what they were talking about. So I asked them and actually we kind of worked out a new lyric right then, which I've included and stayed, and it created a much better feel for the song. So be careful of the easy rhyme. And the easy rhyme is usually something that matches exactly. It's a thing that people feel the need to do. So just because you end with, what would be, it's kind of what makes songs sound like they're a nursery rhyme. You'll hear people do it, or they'll include a rhyme that doesn't really fit in the song. Let's say they end a line with log, then somehow they're going to end the next line, or 2 lines down, whatever it is, with dog, and then I went and saw my dog, or whatever it was. And there was no reason for the dog to be in there. Now, I don't mind things that can take another direction or include some element in the song that is unexpected, but it's very obvious when somebody just rhymes because they found that it rhymes and they just threw the word in there, or they didn't spend the time. And usually what I tell people is just rewrite the first line or write the last line the way you want it to be, and then you can go back and make the line, if it's every line is rhyming, or if every other line is rhyming, if it's a, or let's just say you're rhyming on the second and fourth line of a stanza, go back and write the last line, and then go back and fix the second line, right? And you can usually find a way to do that if you're really careful, and I do that a lot. And then also understand that you don't have to rhyme explicitly on the word. That's a really critical piece of good songwriting. If you watch there's times they rhyme perfectly, like love and above, for sure, they rhyme, and you can do that. But there are other times when it's unnecessary. You just need kind of a consonant sound or a vowelish sound that kind of matches. And an example of that would be the song that I just released, Everyday Lies. And we're just going to go through the first verse of that song. Now, the reason it works also, and it's something to consider, is if you have a rhyme that the rhyme scheme separates the lines with a few other lines between. So in this song, I have an A-A-C, B-B-C rhyme scheme. So the first two lines rhyme, then there's a third line, kind of formed as a stanza. Then the next stanza, the first two lines rhyme again, and the last line, theoretically, rhymes with the third line of the previous stanza. I'll do something on screen so you can see it. And because there's a large separation between lines 3 and line 6, you don't have to be as precise. If you catch a general sound, it's going to be good enough. So in that song, I say, once again, this was just released, so you can find that on the channel here. I drove by your house today, unintentional, I lost my way. I shouldn't be surprised to see his car. Always told me you were wrong for me, just right for him it seems. Guess that explains missing last night's show. So car and show are my rhyming words in that song. Now, car and show don't rhyme, but it works, and it works primarily because of the distance between those rhyme schemes. You can get away with a lot more. It's just a general vowel sound at the end, and that's going to work because the first two lines rhyme perfectly. So just consider, don't go for the lazy rhyme. All right. The other thing I tell people is repetition, contrast, and alliteration. Those are great things to include in the song. So repetition of something, that's a great way to give impact in a song. Contrast and alliteration. So contrast are opposites, right? So one of the songs that I'm going to be doing on my Song a Week is a song called The Path, and in that song I have a line that says, so this simple riddle we've been left, no ready answers and no clue, leave us guessing just like all the rest, and leave it up to me and you. So in that line, I use the word leave or left several times, right? So the simple riddle, we've been left, no ready answers and no clues, leave us guessing just like all the rest, and leave it up to me and you. Okay, so all those use of the word leave and the L's, that forms kind of a repetition and also has kind of an alliterative quality. In the same song, in the chorus, which ends up plays differently, has different chord structure, and then comes back to that repeating descending line, says, we found fit to find our feet upon this path, right? So we've found fit to find our feet upon this path. That's a lot of F's in there, but it works. It creates kind of a repetition with the alliteration, right? So that's one to consider. When it comes to contrasting ideas and using alliteration, another song that's going to be coming out is The Night Is Calling. And in one of the verses of that song, I say, so it's kind of a blues song, got your class, I've got my crude, I've got my crass, and we both know this will never last, 'cause the night is calling. Alright, so you've got your couth, you've got your class, I've got my crude, I've got my crass, and that was very intentionally done because it kind of works. It makes a statement about the two characteristics of the people in the song. It includes a nice alliteration, and it's contrasting ideas. So those are things that will really make your song stand out if you include elements like that. So hopefully you found this valuable. If you did, click like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share with others. I'm going to do more videos like this down the road, including some of the production techniques I'll be using as we release these songs. So look at my video about the Song a Week project, look at the schedule, and I'll be releasing videos about that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see ya. 'Cause the night is calling. You got your crew, you got your class, I've got my crude, I've got my crass, and we both know this will never last, 'cause the night is calling. I hear it calling me, it calls my name, it's like a siren.